Hamster, where'd all these other games come from on your NES Classic? I put them there. What do you think, Nintendo gave you more than 30 basic NES games to play with? Nah, I fixed it. But you can't do that! You have to buy them first! Oh yeah, let me just run down to the local Toys R Us and check out all their NES and Game Boy games. Oh, and especially all their Japanese exclusives. Like what? Switch seats. How about one of the greatest games ever made that you've probably never even heard of? The Japan-only Game Boy exclusive, Kairo no Tame ni Kane wa Naru. Assuming I said that correctly. Caribou tamed a what? Properly translated as the frog for whom the bell tolls. Good thing YouTube only shows 1% of 1% of your subscribers your videos, so Nintendo never finds out about this. Nintendo, I wouldn't have to resort to emulating your retro games if you'd simply offered a single way for your consumers to purchase them. Anyway, let's talk about that game we didn't pay for. That I'd love to pay for! Nintendo never even translated it! We're actually playing a fan-patched English version. See? It even gets the title wrong by translating it too literally. It's not that I'm avoiding paying for this game. Nintendo simply isn't taking my money for it! Here, just take it! Or would you prefer my untranslated yen instead? The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls is an amalgamation of many creative genre concepts and styles all rolled into one cohesive concoction of interwoven gameplay. So bear with us as we try our best to explain it. And keep in mind, Your Honor, that this is entirely hypothetical conjecture based on what we assume the game is like, have we ever actually gotten the chance to play it at all, and any illusions or assumptions made to our knowledge of playing it are coincidental and or made entirely in jest. Now let's talk about this game that I emulated on my hacked NES Classic, hypothetically. The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls is a top-down puzzle adventure game with 2D puzzle platforming dungeons to navigate and solve in order to progress. Part of your adventure is in avoiding or engaging in combat to grind for nuts. No, not like that. It's your currency. So you can buy new equipment or restock on tools like saws for cutting down bushes and finding secrets and pathways or eggs and apples in order to... Let's cover that part later. First, we need to spend some time explaining the combat since it's super unique and is the predominant factor that changes the top-down or 2D platforming segments into puzzles to solve. Whenever you bump an enemy, you suddenly enter combat, where the two of you automatically take turns duking it out in a dust cloud until someone's HP reaches 0. Though you can interrupt this momentarily to use items or flee, it's not about skill or reflexes, but instead it's all about strategizing the safest path to your objective. Though your stats are shown in the menu, the enemies are always a mystery until you try to defeat them. You can raise your own stats with better gear, as well as finding limited power, speed, and life stones that will permanently increase your stats. Instead of grinding experience and leveling up, you're instead rewarded based on your curiosity and exploration. And once you're strong enough, you'll even one-shot some enemies simply by touching them and they'll be sent hurtling right off the screen. Or you're the one who's too weak and you will black out, waking up in the hospital with just enough HP left to walk, and you'll need to pay your own medical bills in order to refill the rest. But the mechanic flipping everything on its head is your ability to transform into a frog or a snake, which you'll do by various means like jumping into cold water Ranma style, or by eating a happiness fruit or a hot springs egg. Now get ready for some of that classic Nintendo weird. Yeah, you'll need to carefully plan out how to navigate some areas based on what form you currently are. Frogs can swim, jump up high, and gulp up insect enemies to heal, but can't fight very well. Snakes can slither through tight spaces and bite some enemies, turning them into movable blocks, but can't jump well. And of course, a human can equip weapons and armor. Each form can also communicate with creatures of their own kind. Yeah, you'll even use transformations to talk to animals and gather information, as well as figure out how to use their unique strengths and weaknesses in order to overcome and solve your way out of your current predicament. It's hard to describe, but it's really fun, and kind of inventing its own genre to boot. Now all we need is the emergence of all the Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls likes. Oh please, yes, but oh lord, don't let it be called that. At the very least, let it have an abbreviation or something like Tufufawatubata. Come on, where's the next big indie Tufufawatubata? We are talking about the original Game Boy here. And it looks great! The lively animated world feels surprisingly alive and full of color when it's ironically grayscale. What else do you want me to say? That I like the cover art? 'Cause I do. You play as the Prince of Sable, forever at odds with your rival Prince Richard of Custard, who continuously beats you in fencing and other competitions over the years. However, the two princes each catch wind of the Croakian army led by the evil Snake King Delarin, invading the small dessert-inspired Millefwelle Kingdom, where they capture the young princess Tiramisu. The smug Prince Richard immediately sets sail with his army of guards, leaving you behind to find your own way across the sea. He's always been a bully, so it's not a shock, but even though he has the skills and swagger, at least you have your money. Until it all gets stolen and you need to get it all back to even afford a ship to begin chase of the pompous prince. The game routinely depletes your money throughout the adventure, where your cash will reset to a set number to assure the player is exactly as strong or rich as the devs planned. And it's actually really clever. The prince starts out naive of the world, thinking he can just throw money at everything and solve all of his problems. But as time goes on, he grows to learn a lot about the world and its people, and his selfless actions begin to speak louder than words. Bet you weren't expecting character development on the Game Boy, but oh wait, we're not finished yet. After docking in Millefwelle, the prince attempts to catch up with Prince Richard, but instead comes upon a strange town infested with frogs, who all turn out to actually be Prince Richard and his army cursed by the witch Mandola. Mandola tricks the prince into becoming a cursed frog himself, but unwilling to give up, the prince hunts her down to cure him and Prince Richard's crew, but only ends up partially cured, now able to transform between frog and human, and eventually as the frog's predator, the snake. The prince uses his new abilities to travel all over the land, fulfilling all sorts of outrageous quests in order to infiltrate deeper into the Croakian-occupied castle and save the princess, as well as find a way to repair and ring the mysterious spring bell, said to bring about the end of winter and break the curse on the frogs all over the island. The whole game's story is told with chapter-like ebbs and flows, all while retaining this charming childlike innocence mixed with classic Nintendo strangeness, but told like a Saturday morning cartoon or family-friendly Pixar or Studio Ghibli film. Even though you legally can't, I highly recommend you buy and play this game yourself to experience this masterpiece in full, but considering the circumstances, I'll provide a spoiler skip so I can completely fabricate the conclusion of this game's narrative that I definitely didn't play firsthand, where any and all similarities to events or persons living or dead are purely coincidental. Eventually, you challenge Dalaran after single-handedly infiltrating his commandeered castle with the help of your new Oddball's friend support to repair the spring bell and end the frog curse, only to find that Princess Tiramisu isn't there. Turns out, Tiramisu escaped from the Croakians and took on a secret disguise, becoming known as the Witch Mandola. In hindsight, the princess realized that she wasn't out to hurt them, but secretly help them overthrow the Croakian army, as well as test the two princes' courage to determine what lengths they would go to on the pretense of rescuing her. And considering how Prince Richard basically slumped in defeat while Prince of Sable never gave up no matter the circumstances, risked everything including his fortune as well as his life repeatedly in order to rescue the supposedly captive princess, it sure says a lot about the two. There's also this incredible foreshadowing moment earlier where the prince awakens from this intense accidental drug trip, just play the game, and believes he sees the princess there rescuing him, only for his illusion to fade, revealing he was actually in front of the witch Mandola, snapping him out of his daze. It's a cute moment made all the more sweet once you learn the truth of the prince's misunderstanding. Regardless of the recent revelations of character, a traditional duel is held between the princes to decide who will wed the princess. But Prince Richard beats you at everything, doesn't he? And he's won every duel you've ever had. Does your newfound strength from your heroic adventures give you the upper hand to finally achieve victory and win the princess's hand? No, that's not what kind of game this is. But the prince isn't going down without a fight, as the two clash back and forth in an incredibly close battle. Suddenly, you see your sword fly through the air, deflected out of the arena, and the prince takes a knee, accepting his failure. But surprisingly, instead of striking you down and claiming victory, Prince Richard concedes defeat. Richard acknowledges that you intentionally softened your blows out of kindness, preventing you from striking him down, and realizes that after all this time of being such an overbearing jerk, you still consider him to be a true friend, and you couldn't bring yourself to harm him. And in comparison to your warm heart, Prince Richard knows that he can never be your equal. He abruptly leaves the room in tears, accepting that he has truly lost. lost. When's the last time you played a Game Boy game so beautiful it nearly brought you to tears? Hey, he's an inch from death, but the bloody crippled frog boy saves the day and gets the girl. Eggs and wasabi all around! Now give me some of that end credit goodness. I'm gonna turn these apples into my jam. Oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. But how about this track where they actually made the sound of crashing waves on the beach on Game Boy? This game also marks the only instance of my accidentally stumbling on Totaka's hidden song completely by happenstance, and part of me is secretly pleased with this bizarre fact. I know it's just nostalgia bias, but I just love the bippity boops of this little thing. The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls is a magnificent work of art and is a crucial step forward for video game innovation and creativity, but you can't actually buy it. This is an interesting sell it section, isn't it? Not only was this game the foundation for many of the oddball ideas and crazy mechanics that would later become Link's Awakening, you can even encounter Prince Richard in that game, hidden away in a marshy cabin filled with frogs. Speaking of cameos, the Prince of Sable made several appearances in the Super Smash Bros. Series. He can be obtained as a sticker in Brawl, a trophy on 3DS and Wii U, as well as an assist trophy fighter, which returns in Ultimate alongside two new spirits, the Frog and Snake, which can enhance into the 4-star Prince of Sable. So hopefully from now on, when you see this strange little boy with a cape tussling with Smash characters in an inescapable dust cloud, occasionally transforming into a frog or a snake, you'll better appreciate how impactful his representation is, and remember his charming tale through the forgotten Game Boy gem, and not just roll your eyes going, oh, Japan. Let's be honest, that's what we were all thinking when we first saw this character, right? The positive gamer in me adored the delightful Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls, ringing in a 10 out of 10. This game had me smiling from ear to ear, beginning to end. It's an adorable story with some seriously ingenious gameplay and level design with an incredible soundtrack. The critical gamer in me finds the Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls to be a tremendous achievement, awarding it with a 10 out of 10. This was honestly one of the best games I've ever played, and is a must-play for this system. The only thing holding this game back at all is ironically the very company that created it 30 years ago. Dang! I bet nobody was expecting a double 10 out of a forgotten Japanese exclusive Game Boy game. I sure wasn't. But you should remember that this was Nintendo's R&D 1 and Intelligent Systems title, meaning that this game is basically a Mario Bros, Zelda, or Metroid that never got a chance to grow. It's kinda sad, but at the very least, I'm glad that it still exists at all. So what do you think? Tell us how your positive and critical sides rate the Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls in the comments below. For all those of you who actually played the game. But if you're sleeping on all the amazing Game Boy titles like this one, just because you don't think that any of them could possibly be worth your time, then you're just playing with yourself. Bibbidi boop. Okay, making these little perler things is becoming too fun, and it's kind of taking over. I actually have a bunch more that are supposed to go up here very soon, hopefully by the next episode. But, oh, you should even see what my downstairs area looks like. Oh God, not what I meant. No, I'm gonna end this. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and use the links in the description to nominate your own episode. Thank you to all of our Patreon members, Atomic Thomas, Arrow, Minya, Sid, and Crystal. Now get out of here.